What if you are not you? What if you've become a constructed product of the media that you consume? What if everything you hate, everything you like, everything you think and talk about is merely a projection? What would happen if you stopped reading the newspaper, watching TV, or listening to the radio, or all of it? What would happen if you never spoke to anyone about so-called current events happening in the news, or so-called world events? What if you just didn't listen to any of that stuff happening? How would you feel? How would you think? What would you think? What would you think about every day? It's pretty amazing, our subconscious mind. Like, a lot of people I know would put on the news just to have it on in the background. Just as talking to keep themselves company. The radio. If you're alone all the time, you'll put on the radio. I used to listen to, CBC radio. I used to put on the news, thinking that, it was just some friendly conversation to have on in the background to, be up on world events, current events, thinking that I was being informed, I was getting information, and it was important, and if I was going to have anything on, it might as well be the news because it's intelligent or something like that. But what if all of that was a program designed to keep you anxious, fearful, on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next, or what we're going to do, or what you should do next, waiting for your next move? What if all of that was a program that was designed around your very mind and how to influence it to think specific things, to talk about specific things, to hate specific people or things, to actually instill physical responses from words, trigger words of people's names? What if all of it has been very meticulously designed to make you think, feel, speak, and act in specific ways? What would that make you? If every day you listen to these specific trigger words, and every day you watch these specific images, and every day you listen to the specific phrases and the specific conversations with specific people about specific things, and every day you think about those things after a while, after listening to them, you memorize some of the things, the phrases, the people, what to like, what not to like, who to like, why you like them, the reasons why you like them. You agree with it, and then you share it with your neighbor, and they agree, and then you talk to another person, and they listen, and they agree, and you share what you think are facts with another person, and then they agree. And then everybody's talking about the same thing, watched the same thing, listened to the same words so that they say the same words, and then the other person says, yes, I think that too. They've listened to the same words as you. And then when you hear somebody that does not agree with the things and the words that you've heard and you've seen and you've said, you feel anger. Just the very suggestion of liking something else, it has been programmed into your mind to feel anger, frustration, hatred, fear, anxiety. All of these feelings come up because of the other things that you've been told, that you've heard, that you think you've seen images of. All these emotions that have been suggested of fear and anxiety and hatred. All of these things come up every time you hear those specific trigger words, phrases about people, places, or things. And other people that have listened and watched the same things as you have the same triggers. So you relate on those things. So the bond becomes stronger. when you speak about the same things that you watch and you listen to, because now you feel the same way, and you think you feel these ways because you think a certain way, and you think those thoughts are your own. But those thoughts are merely images that you've been shown, phrases that you've memorized, trigger words that you've heard over and over, held in contrast to other words, images, and phrases that you've heard over and over, none of which you've experienced in real life, or seen in real life, or experienced for yourself. These are all just a series of specifically put together images, phrases, keywords to instill specific responses of anxiety, fear, happiness, emotions, all these emotions: happy, sad, joy, fear, comfort, safety, unsafe feelings. It's just, what if you knew that everything you were watching and consuming was a program, and you yourself have now been programmed by taking part in the listening and watching and speaking and sharing this with the people that you talk to, and then they listen and watch and share, and then you share and listen and watch together? What would happen to you if you ditched all sorts of media like that? What would you think about every day? Who would you become? How would you feel? I know when I started to kick the habit of news media and television and radio and newspaper, I actually just started only using my newspaper as free heat in my wood stove, and that was great. All news media, none of it. I don't listen to any of it whatsoever. I've realized it's all baloney, and all it did was leave me feeling anxious, depressed, hopeless, and scared. So, and that's what it's designed to do. So it did its job, and so now I choose not to look, not to watch. And it's kind of interesting. It always brings me to an episode of The Simpsons, where I think it was a Treehouse of Horror episode, where all of the kind of business icons, like the mascots for different businesses that were really big, would come alive, and they started destroying the town and stomping through everything and raising terror and all this stuff. And they realized that when people stopped watching, they just didn't look anymore, those media giants lost their power, and they fell down dead. And they'd start singing the song, "Just don't look, just don't look," and these things would be like falling over all over the place. And that's kind of where we're at right now. There's a lot of really powerful things out there, and where your attention goes, your energy flows. And I don't just mean that like, oh, your energy, like it's just your personal energy, it's just what you're focusing on now. I really do mean that in a physical way of where your attention goes, your energy flows. You give your attention to somebody or something, and they get your energy. So if you do not want to feel depleted and anxious and angry and depressed and hopeless and fearful and all these things that keep you relying on coming back to the news media to watch in whatever format you get it, whether it's on your phone or your computer or your neighbor or your family member or your TV, it doesn't matter where you get it, it's still the same garbage. And if you're giving your attention to that, that's where your energy is going. Your attention is going to that, and in return, it is creating these emotions, and that is exactly what it is designed to do. So, my best health advice today for you is give up all of that media. And you might think, well, I won't know what to do. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Try doing what you want to do. Try thinking for yourself. Try pursuing your own day. Decide your own day. Decide your own life. The world doesn't end when you stop watching. It actually begins, because When you watch the media and listen to the media and listen to everybody else that watches and listens to the media, you just become a product of that. And you don't have time for anything else. You're too busy being scared or feeling anxious or depressed, and you're glued to your TV or at the edge of your seat. You're like, I don't know. I've never felt better since giving up that sort of thing. And don't worry, like, if there's actually some sort of real news that you need to know, you will find out. I guarantee it. There's enough people around that if there's something actually important, you will find out. But don't go looking for, the next juicy story of like, ooh, what else is happening? Who did what? So-and-so said what? Celebrity said what? So-and-so's being canceled. What? It's like, who cares? It's all constructed baloney to control your emotions. Focus on your own life. Live your own life. Create your own story. All this drama and all the things that are being created all over the world to stir up anger and incite violence, and it's just political nonsense. And do what you can. Don't focus on the things that the powers that be like to make you focus on. Focus on you, your day. How are you starting your day? You started outside listening to some birds chirping, drink some tea, do some exercise, or do you start your day throwing on the radio, getting that jolt of what's happening next, or putting on the TV of, oh, where should I shop? What should I do? What's happening around town? Where should I go? Where should I spend my money? What's happening around the world? Oh, now I'm up to date and caught up with the current events. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just being programmed to think and do what everybody else is thinking and doing. So I challenge you to be independent. Watch something else. Think of something else. Do something else. Revitalize an old hobby. What haven't you done in a while? You'll free up so much time and energy. Oh, and you'll feel so relieved and so relaxed, not having that anxious, awful doom feeling that comes along with the news. And even when you turn on your computer, it's just a bunch of silly news feeds just waiting to suck up your time, just trying to suck you in and hook you into the next thing of like, top 10 reasons why, blah, blah, blah. Top 20 movies that blah, blah, blah. Did you know so-and-so said blah, blah, blah? I can't believe so-and-so said blah, blah, blah. And they just want you to click and watch and listen and do anything that is so counterproductive to actual real life learning and self-development and growth and personal growth and, enhancing your personal power and your spirit and your connectedness to the earth and your connectedness to source energy. Get back to what really matters. Get back to the earth. Get back to real life. That stuff is all phony baloney. Just trying to control you. Get back to what is real. You. Your source energy. Your connectedness. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the tap water. That'll be a whole nother episode. But yeah, turn it off and see what happens. See how you feel. Let me know in the comments after you try this what your experiences are, what things are like before and what things are like afterwards. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. Just let me know what you think. I'm very curious to start a conversation about this. And if you want to talk further, join my community, Mind and Body Rebuild. If you really want to get connected with source energy, your personal power, and create the life that you really, really want. I'll put the link in the description here.